When it comes to high-grade Gundam model kits, they're a little bit on the limited side, and they're limited by that high grade written on the box. But what isn't limited by that high grade written on the box is high-grade non-Gundam model kits like this right here. This at first glance looks like a Gundam, specifically a Titans Gundam. But this right here isn't a Gundam, this is the high-grade Hyukbine Mark III from Super Robot Wars. And it is specifically because this Gundam lookalike is not a Gundam that it is so good. It surpasses what a standard high-grade Gundam would do because it doesn't have to adhere to what those have to adhere to, that 8+ on the box. So what we get in the end is one ridiculously awesome high-grade kit. If this was a high-grade Gundam, it would be the greatest high-grade Gundam. When it comes to the build, this is so intricate, so awesome. Aesthetically, this looks ridiculously over the top, so much so that I wish there was a Gundam color scheme variant out there. This was designed by the absolutely awesome Katoki Hajime, so it has those Gundam Wing Endless Waltz kind of vibes, and is such a cool super robot ode to the Gundam. Accessories wise inside this box, you get so much, all the way to a stand, missile pods, 2 guns, beam sabers, multiple hands, the works. Build and articulation wise, this is rock solid and has articulation that would make any high grade Gundam blush with absolute embarrassment. It is so much fun to pose and looks dynamic all of the time. If there was only one down point about this kit right here, it's the fact that it costs almost double its gunpla equivalent, but I will underline, there is no gunpla equivalent. This right here is a Gundarium tier unmissable Gundam-like kit by Bandai, and you need one. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Hyukbine Mark III from Super Robot Wars OG. Once again, I got this through Hobby Link Japan. If you want one of your own, link is down there in the description, and this thing might just be the best high-grade Gundam around. It's not even a Gundam. So jumping right on into the aesthetics now, we're going to be taking a look at it without any of the accessories attached, that's including the backpack. We'll save those until a little bit later, but for right now we're going to be taking a look at the mecha itself. This right here is a Katoki Hajime masterpiece without a single doubt. This design is incredibly cool, and a lot of his staples are all over here, like these little yellow segments up on the shoulders, the big ears. All of these you'll probably recognize from his Endless Waltz redesigns of various Gundam Wing mobile suits, especially this version of Wing. Now I'm going to say it right away because it's very important to mention, but this particular line of high-grade kits has broken the shackles that holds down Gundam model kits. And you might be like, how? What shackles? What do you mean? And I mean that shackles, that right there, that's on the front of all of your beloved high-grade Gundam boxes. 8+. And what pray tell does that 8+ mean? It means, well, no sharp parts, so the kids don't put their eyes out. And if you grab yourself this box right here, you'll see that this has a 15+ right there in it, and that means you can have sharp parts. I guess 15-year-olds are less likely to put their eyes out. So yeah, even though this is a high-grade kit, it's not the same as high-grade gunpla at all. This is actually a leveled up version entirely. No safety flags up on the V-fin, nothing like that. Inside the box you get tons of plastic, absolutely perfect color separation, and one hell of a kit in the end. So even though this isn't a high-grade Gundam, it's still, well, one of, if not the best high-grade Gundams, because straight, that just looks like a Titans Gundam. I mean seriously, Gundam Mark II? And speaking of Mark II, there is a Hyukbine Mark II, that's this one right here. So if you want to see the review of that, you can check that out before this one if you haven't seen it already. These are very similar kits. The only thing that's really the same in them is a couple of parts in some of the joints, but not much at all. Even color-wise, this one's more of a navy blue, this is more of a purple. Similar, but not the same. As for the backpacks on them, I'll talk about those a little bit later. I had thought I preferred this design right here, but as the days and the minutes go by, I really can't tell. They're both awesome in their own right. Let's get a little bit closer to the Mark III. So taking a little bit of a closer look at this, and there's one thing I have to mention because it kind of drives me mad. It may not bother really many people or anybody at all, but that is the fact that its front skirting armor, see those two right there, are exactly the same as its rear skirting armor back here. I know you might say, well, same with the RX-78 too, kind of, but no, they're identical. They're absolutely identical. It's got storage for its beam sabers right here, which you use. But because these are identical, you've got the exact same storage right there in the front, which to me actually seems like a better place to keep your beam sabers, but it just to me, design-wise, it's just such a funny choice. Total non-issue though. Like on the Mark II, they're similar. Not exactly the same, but definitely similar. I don't know, it's just a nothing really. But yeah, this kit is absolutely fantastic. When it comes to stickers, there are no color correcting stickers, just these ones in the face for the eye cameras, the head camera, and around back here, but everything else is color accurate for the most part, except one little weird aspect. Now, I'm not sure how seeable this is, but see that little yellow bit right there? That is a sticker over yellow, so that's meant to be black, not yellow. So they actually covered up something inside of it, which is an interesting choice. I'm guessing up there is meant to be in yellow, but overall the color separation on this is phenomenal. So absolutely perfect. Bandai did a killer job. And speaking of the colors, there it is side by side with the original art, what it's supposed to look like, and everything is 100% accurate. This has the backpack on, the arm-mounted weapon on, whereas I don't have those on just yet. But yeah, that is looking absolutely astounding. Anyway, now jumping into the full 360 spin so you can see all the angles for yourself, and this is incredible like I've mentioned so many times. It also has incredible articulation on top of the fantastic looks, which means you can kind of eke out some nice poses even when it's just standing there. It's super dynamic with a great neck, great shoulders, hips, ab crunch, everything is so nice. This is all plastic on plastic, no polycaps inside of this kit. Like I said, this is the perfect Gundam kit. That is not a Gundam. It looks so good. I want to see this right here in those classic Gundam colors. I'm sure someone's going to do it, or has done it already. So blasting through what is left of the list, and when it comes to the details on here, everything is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'd say I did prefer the leg design and the way the armor came through on the Mark II. As you can see right here, I thought that was a really cool effect. Those parts of those legs are actually left over on the runners, but you know, the design is the design, and this is accurate. Now, as for clear parts, I'm sad that I didn't take any footage, but that head camera in the head, the eyes, and the rear head camera right there, that's all clear parts underneath in clear green. Of course, the eyes do not have the black outline, but if you add that on yourself, you can keep all of these nice and clear. As for those bad things that we see on model kits like knobs, mold lines, and seam lines, this kit does not avoid those entirely, sadly, but it does hide them away very nicely. This is a darker plastic which tends to mark a little worse, so you will get nubs here and there, but if you take some care, maybe use something like a glass file, you can avoid all of those. When it comes to mold lines, there are some like in the upper thigh right here. This is the usual kind of Gundam place. Same with the bicep right here. These are the usual kind of places we see these all of the time. That's because those are all one part. There is no actual splitting up of the parts. Moving on to a size comparison, there it is side by side with the high-grade Gundam Mark II. So as you can see, they're around the same size. Maybe it's even a little bit on the smaller size, well, slimmer side in some aspects. If you're curious as to what this looks like side by side with a standard high-grade Gundam, it's quite a bit bigger. And there it is side by side with the last Gundam kit that I took a look at, which is the high-grade Gundam Rubris and Nocta. Also, while the Gundam is there, I might as well show you that is the size it is compared to a master grade. So it's a bit bigger than a high-grade Gundam, but definitely not as big as a master grade. Now jumping into the accessories, and here's everything that comes with the high-grade Gundam Mark III. So what we're getting here is a backpack, not one but two long-range rifles, 2 beam swords, this thing right here that I don't know what it is yet, 4 hands, and a full action base as well. Now this kit retails for about $33, at least it does from Hobbylink Japan, so it does make it quite a bit more expensive than your standard high-grade kit. For example, the high-grade Rising Freedom that just came out is about half the price of this at $17. But what you get in here really, what can I say, it feels like you're getting double what's in a usual Gundam kit. So when it does come to the hands in here, we have 4 in total. The first in here being a standard set of holding hands. They attach in the usual ball joint sort of way. These are 3-parters, by the way, so that means they separate into the back, the front half of the hands, and the, well, rear half of the hands. So there is 3 parts to these. The other pair of hands that we have in here are these right here. So these are a pair of widespread hands. They're very nice, quite simple looking, but they do the job absolutely perfectly. Actually, that bend on that pinky finger gives these a lot more flair than I, well, initially noticed that they have. So we've a pair of both. Next up in here then we've got the backpack. Now before I get into the details on this is a very nice backpack. I will mention I'm very happy by one thing. This is not your normal high-grade backpack adapter, so that does mean it doesn't work on other kits, but I haven't tried it yet, but as far as I can see, it seems to be the exact same adapter we saw on the HG Mark II. So the moment of truth, does this backpack actually attach? It's looking like it will. Does it fit all the way? It seems to kind of get caught on something, hold on. That's kind of strange, it fits, but with a tiny little bit of a millimeter of a gap where it kind of gets stuck against its back. So that means you just have to cut away a little bit of this gray section right here, and you'll get it attached. So if you ever prefer this kind of style backpack ride here, then you can actually throw that onto this kit. It doesn't fully color match with any of the colors on this kit, but that is an option, and of course, vice versa with the other one on the Mark II. Come on, get up. Ooh. Actually, I'm glad I checked. I just assumed it would fit. It does not fit. It just doesn't line up right. Again, with some kind of modification, you'll make it fit, but out of box, it just doesn't. Oh, that is a major, major letdown. It kind of holds on, kind of. You could, leave it somewhere with this on, but, any bit of a... and it'll leave forever. So anyway, back to the Mark III and the Mark III's backpack. This is a very, very nice pack. It attaches on super, super simply. It holds on very, very well. And we've got a whole lot going on. These whole big units around back, these can move on ball joints. And not just those. If you actually pop off the upper sections here, we've got ball joints attaching those on too. So that does mean this is a little bit complex at times to get, exactly right and symmetrical in a pose. But it means you get to eke out some nice dynamic looking poses with them. And as for what's going on up in the upper section of these, well, let's talk a little bit about that. According to the manual, this is the multi-trace missile. These are small missiles housed in containers on the back. The T-Link system is also used to track targets. The left and right containers can also be separated from their platforms and remote controlled to extend the effective range of the missiles. So at this point, it's about time to get this up in the air. I will mention that this kit, like all of the Super Robot Wars high-grade kits we've seen so far, comes with a full action base, this little adapter up top for attaching it onto. So that means you can just get your HG, pop it on like so, and that is what it looks like attached onto it. These are great little action bases. They're especially good for display. They look really cool, they're good and strong, and it's not going to fall off or go funny on you. I don't actually use these in the reviews just because you can't actually pose them at will. It's stuck in this position. You have to undo some clips in order to actually get a bit of an angle going on it, just like so. And that is for every little bit of a pose, so it's hard to line up in front of a camera. That's the only reason I don't use them. So this backpack is incredibly nicely designed. However, I will mention that there are stickers. Those little yellow segments are stickers. They do not look the greatest. I just popped them on so you can see what they're like. It is recessed part, so it would be easy to actually detail that up in an actual yellow paint if you wanted to, but I went with what is inside of the box. Anyway, what these can do is awesome. They can click open just like so. It's a nice locking mechanism and open up just like that right there for an absolute cacophony of missiles. These are ridiculous looking. Lock on, heavy arms, dual Gundam, the lot of them would be absolutely jealous by what this particular kit, or should I say this particular mecha, has right around back here. That is insane. Nice color separation as well. So if that was not cool enough already, just like it said in the instructions, these can be used remotely as well. So you can actually grab these little canister sections right here and just yank them right out of this segment, just like so. Wait a minute, I don't think that part was meant to be left behind. Just like so. And yeah, these things right here can be used as remote weapons. Once again, they just open up like that. Gorgeous missiles inside. Round back there is your connection point, so this is going to attach onto any 3mm attachment point on whatever stand you have. And this kit doesn't just come with a standard action base, it also comes with one of these additional little arms too, so that does mean you can use this to display both the Gundam and one of these flying around at exactly the same time. So that is super, super handy, just like so. And if you're like me and using something a little bit different, because you like to move it around for photos and stuff, this will still attach onto whatever stand that you have because of that nice 3mm attachment. So if you want both of these flying around in the air with it, you can just pop them onto some stands, get them all set up, and it'll look a little bit like that right there. That is such a cool feature. This is a very, very, very nice feature-packed robot. The next weapons we have in here are the melee weapons, and these are the beam swords. According to the instructions, it says these are cutting equipment that create blades by confining high-temperature plasma in a special force field. Sounds familiar. These are very advanced versions of plasma cutters, and EOT was used to develop them. Unlike the Hyukbine Mark II, they are stored behind the rear armor part on the waist. When these are not in use, it's just the usual Gundam routine. Again, not a Gundam, but does everything Gundam-y, and that is you just take them out of the hands like so, pop out the beams, and then the handles can be stored in the rear skirting armors just like so by lifting them up and popping them in like this. The front skirting armors are identical, part duplicates even of these, so you can actually store them around front as well if you really wanted to. Next up in here we've got another weapon. This is the Fang Slasher. What it says here is, this is a throwing weapon attached to the left elbow of the Hyukbine Mark III. The left and right parts rotate and lock in place when in use to form a shape resembling a cross-shaped shuriken. Small blades made of Zol Orichalconium. What does it say in the Japanese? Oriharukonium. Okay, one more time. Zol Orichalconium. Also protrude from the tips. It can be thrown and remotely controlled using the T-Link system. Anyway, this right here is the weapon in question. This is in its stored state, and like it mentioned, this can rotate like so into a shuriken-style throwing star kind of thing. It says it has little blades on it, but those don't actually, well, maybe they're tiny microscopic ones. There is no bladey parts on this though, but we do have a little hole for displaying this in flight. In order to display it in flight, it just pops on to any action base, just like so. The included one will work as well. When this is not in use, you just close it up just like so, and then it just attaches onto the rear of the forearm with this little circular section, just like that. It clicks on into place and adds some nice bulk to the arm. As for the long-range weapons, we've got two, the first of which is the Photon Rifle. This is a rifle used by the Hyukbine Mark III. The weapon does not use photons and is actually a neutral particle beam cannon. EOT is used for its firing system convergence method and to straighten its trajectory. It can also be mounted onto the back of the waist. When this is not in use, you can just pop it out of the hand just like so. Move around to the back, we've got a little bit of flip out tab we can store this on, and you can just pop it onto the storage tab just like so, and it holds on perfectly. There's it from the back, looking great, and there it is from the front too. The next weapon we have in here is the Graviton Rifle. What it says here is, this is a weapon created by downsizing the Hyukbine Mark II's G-Impact cannon. It generates a high-gravity barrier using the Gravicon system, which is crushed on impact with its target. Its power is decreased when compared to the G-Impact cannon, but its rapid, continuous firing abilities have been improved, and it is easier to handle. Once again, this is quite similar to the rifle, just bigger and badder, I guess. Badder in a good way. We've got the same color separation as before, a lot of nice gray parts connected together. We do have a white section for what I assume is the sensor. This attaches on the exact same sort of way. These parts and the handle pop off in a kind of handy way to make sure it pops into the hand simply without it all getting really in your way, and then you can pop the Graviton Rifle right into the handle there. It does sit to the side of the hand, which is a very nice unique design. It looks cool from both sides and it just gels with the design very nicely. Overall, a really cool weapon. You can't actually store it anywhere. I guess once it's used, it just chucks it away, but looking phenomenal. So finally now onto the articulation and the build strength. So this, as you can see, it flops a little bit at the knees because of the strength of the upper body. That won't happen, well, in normal situations, even if you shake the crap out of it. And this is a rock solid plastic on plastic build, so no polycaps. That means it's a very modern high grade. So when it does come to the articulation on this, it is ridiculous, over the top, and amazing in every aspect. Now I will mention that with the incredibly intricate articulation, it does come with some weak aspects. Nothing that bad really, just a case of sometimes if you move things around a lot, they'll end up kind of popping off. I got the arm and the upper leg popping off during doing this, but the main thing that kept coming off was the front skirting armor. Now these are attached on the runner. Snipping them in half is an option, so if you want them to move together and not fall off, you can do that. Or you can have them move independently and maybe drop off if you do hyperextend the leg upwards towards the front. So it's a little bit of a trade-off for extra articulation. Overall though, this is amazing. So I'm not going to go through all the articulation on this, but I'm going to point out some of the coolest aspects that make this really awesome. First off, this has a fantastic neck. So not only can it do the usual ball joint stuff and a hinge, it has this kind of action that allows it to come out like so for some dynamic looking forward, and even better, looking straight up. So you can have those kind of flight poses. You never see something like that in a gunpla. This has such an expressive, awesome neck, so no matter what angle you get it into, you'll have those awesome super robot poses. Other things include the shoulders. They have that full movement out to the front like so, which is very, very nice. Again, you're going to get great poses out of it. And I will mention the ab crunch is mildly limited. You've got from there to there, which is not too bad, but it makes up for that with a really awesome side crunch. So it can really crunch from side to side very nicely, and you can twist that crunch around to the front to kind of get nice little poses like that for when you're actually, say, bringing the leg up when it's flying forward. So overall, this has some amazing, amazing poses, and I did do a few poses throughout the review you can take a look at to just see how dynamic and over the top this thing is. But yeah, that right there is it for the review. This is definitely a Gundarium tier high grade. The only down point I would say with this is, it is a little bit higher price than you'd get from a Gundam kit, but this is a more serious kit. It's more than high grade. And as far as the Super Robot Wars line goes, this one is the greatest. This and the other Hukbine are fantastic, but this one seems to be giving me a little bit more. Once again, aesthetically, this is absolutely perfect. The only stickers on here for the eyes, a little bit round back on the backpack, but that is it. Otherwise, full color Kitoki awesomeness, and it just looks over the top cool. When it comes to the accessories, you get so much everything. Action-based, flying bits, opening missile pods, everything. And finally, like we saw with the articulation, it is fantastic. Those things that I saw popping off, that never really happens, only if you're really pushing this beyond its limits, but you will get the most insane poses out of it. When I say this looks like a Gundam, it's not a Gundam, but if it was a Gundam, this would be the greatest high-grade Gundam out there. It is just so good. It looks like a Gundam, it ticks all the boxes, so for me, best high-grade Gundam. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, I got mine through Hobby Link Japan, link in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys, so thank you so much for watching, and as usual, special thanks to those of you who helped me out over on the channel memberships right here and on Patreon, including Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashil Marmion, Go Little Rockstar, Joe, Org59061, 10 Soldier YT, and Van Fawn.